Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's been a long week. It always feels like a long week when we miss a week, but we're back in action again. TOTS is back on the couch. It's been 2 weeks for you? 3 weeks for you?
Well, 3 weeks. Missed one episode, but then we had the week off.
But we're back.
Great to be back. I've missed a lot on the
missed the
channel.
episode.
Yeah.
Don't forget about him, guys.
Yeah, I think I was on it last time in the early 900s subs, smashed past the 1,000 and just kept rolling. Like,
on an uphill.
It doesn't seem like it stopped. Obviously, maybe a little bit of a slowdown since that real purple patch, but it's just kept going. Like, very exciting times.
We're in our Rashford era where we're just scoring goals every week for fun. That's what it feels like at the moment.
Everyone's loving the prediction videos.
Yeah.
I think that's like a main staple of the channel now. Everyone gets around them, especially how well you're doing.
The last few weeks have been, but the Champions League, we're doing one of the Champions League predictions. That's what we're hoping out for. Predictions were not good this weekend because there was a few very interesting games. A few results, I guess, they went as we expected, but the performances were a bit But I feel like I was going to make this, I guess, a key topic. I'll talk about it now. I think international break's having a good time now for some teams. Like the Arsenals, the Villas, the City. They looked a little bit tired on the weekend, a little bit slow. And I get that. 2 Champions League games in 3 weeks. Cup football's already come back with Carabao Cup. They're trying to stay on top of it in the league. They all looked a little bit fatigued. So I think for the big boys, the small teams probably hate it, but the big boys, I think, will love this international break right now because football fans, we hate it, but these teams, with that amount of injuries that are happening, I think they'll just be like, thank God we got an international break.
Well, yeah, every team is taking it to everyone, and I think it's like prime prem if we've ever seen it before. Like, we look at last season, and there was just those 3 teams that really, like, were just behind the rest of the pack.
Yeah.
And they didn't, although they did take a couple of good, like, there were a couple of good performances that were taken to the bigger boys and stuff. Like, even when you look at now probably the last 5 games for Everton, like one that we've spoke about a lot on the channel about how we were probably expecting them to be going down and stuff like that. And could they still be going down? Will they still be going down? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But like, you look at their performances, they probably dropped 6 points early in September. Yeah. And then have come, would it 4 points in the last 2, is it?
I think it's now 5 in the last 3.
5 in the
they haven't lost in the last 3.
Yeah, so 5 in the last 3.
Yeah.
Looked really good. Probably should have something like 11 in the last 5.
It's
and
Everton's a weird one.
They're the team that we were talking about. Like, they've got players there that do go on runs of forms, and we've seen them do this, whether those players were at Burnley or at Everton, those typical Sean Dyche players who hit form patches, and like the Dwight McNeils of the world who are currently quite impressive.
Yeah, playing well again,
Yeah, but they're an interesting watch. You got Wolves who are looking very dangerous, but
still can't win though.
Again, like, they've got quality.
Yeah,
they've got quality, especially in the attacking third, which is sometimes, but it seems like they're getting into, like we see on the weekend, a bit of a shootout.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that was another game. We'll probably touch on that one.
Yeah.
But a few things to say about that one.
It's a lot to talk about. But actually, let's talk about the first game, because this is a team that, funny enough, this is another video that channel got, well respected for, the Palace video, and Palace went down 1-0 to Liverpool. And it still seems to be a weird one, because it's like Wolves, where whenever I watch this team play, they look good, they look okay.
Yeah.
But, like first half, Liverpool had Champions League, you had a week off, got to come out fast, and they were just slow. Liverpool bossed the first half, and it became a bit of a boring game come second half. Liverpool just sort of controlled it. This is, Arnie Slot does this now, he just controls games, so end up sort of becoming a bit of a ball fest. They had a few chances with Mateta when he came on, but I'm a bit worried for Palace as well. Not to go down, but I don't know. I think I had him in the top half or 10th. I don't know.
I'm not sure exactly where I had them, but I definitely had them towards. I definitely had a middle table and pushing that 10th, 11th position around there. Which isn't looking too promising. If we actually take a step back and look at the weekend as a whole, this game basically summarised the weekend. There was a lot of these type of performances. Whether a team won because it was because there was a chance they put away in the rest of the game. But there was a lot of these type of games through the weekend, and it started the weekend and finished it.
Like as well. I feel like
finished it. But looking at the game, even Palace saying that they didn't have a strong first 45, which they should have coming out of the blocks. They had those chances in the second half. Yeah. With the likes of Alisson going off injured again, which is a big concern for Liverpool. We know the drop off there. And Kelleher, once he comes back, I know he was ill on the weekend, but isn't a bad keeper whatsoever. No. But he's no Alisson.
Alisson different level.
We've talked about this many times with keepers.
Yeah.
Just that confidence the back four has with a certain person behind. It's a big difference. It's like when you might be playing in the midfield and you know that you've got that supportive six behind you. Yeah. It gives you that license to go forward. It's the same with a centre back and their goalkeeper. Knowing that, I can ping the ball back to my keeper. He's always going to take a good touch. You know what? I can drop back 5 yards because if someone wants to take a pop shot from 30 yards, I know my keeper's going to save it.
Yeah.
Your mindset just changes.
It's a big. It's with Alisson as well because he's been like fundamental to that back line. I think for Liverpool this season, I said it last year and it sort of came true, but this year it sort of feels like the back four is going to be the reason if they go and do go all the way there. It's the back four because Salah's been good in patches, but he's been very patchy. We know how patchy Diaz is. Obviously, Núñez, Jota's an injury prone, but it looks like it's roles reversed this season. The back four and Gravenberch are going to be, and obviously the goalkeeper is going to be your key. So if you lose Alisson, it's a bit like, does that confidence go from this team?
Is it a bit concerning now, especially in the keeper department, of how many injuries he's had? Like, this is unheard of unless a keeper was to do a freak injury where he was ruled out, like a Ter Stegen, for example, where they're ruled out for a long period of time. The fact that he's had consecutive injuries, like each season now for probably 3 seasons, I'd say, where he's out for a month. Like, probably if you're Liverpool, it's not a big concern. You still got your keeper for probably 30 of the 38 match weeks a season. But when you look at the comparison to other teams, it's a staple you want in your team.
Yeah.
And is that a reason why they've gone and done a deal?
I reckon that is. Well, it's a soft tissue as well. Soft tissues are bad.
Yeah, and he's done a few of these now. Like, I just look at these other keepers in the past. They usually do injuries, whether it was Lloris at Tottenham, whether it was Ter Stegen, whether it was Manuel Neuer.
Yeah.
They were all just freak injuries that you can go and don't get me wrong, in the scheme of things, they probably ended up those freak injuries missing more games than Alisson's missed over the last 3 seasons. Yeah. But it's a freak injury that you go, there's not really much you can do about it. It seems like Alisson's picking up, like he's kicked the ball in this.
And he's just gone down.
Yeah.
And I think it was a thigh or a quad. And it's just like...
Yeah. He was reaching towards like the quad groin.
Yeah. And that's a problem. Because that's like... That's an old man injury sort of thing. Yeah. That's when you pick one of them up, you pick a few up. Like you see with how Pedri sort of now gets all these soft tissue and it's like a midfielder's injury, which is a bit of a problem. It's a good point, you're right. But Mamardashvili's there, I guess they signed him. And for the sounds of it, Trent might be moving earlier than we thought because of obviously Carvajal's knee injury. I read yesterday they might try and go after him in January. So
yeah, but if you're Liverpool, you're letting Trent go knowing that his value realistically, he's not one of those players where for example, when we're talking about Mohamed Salah, where we go year on year, the salaries, the transfer price is going to drop off quite significantly based on age, based on other circumstances, based on also the fact that if you were Salah, you obviously, if you're Liverpool, you obviously think that he's going to perform to the level he has last year. But you don't know. It's going on age. Yeah. Like when you go look at precedents of players of Salah's quality, is it this year he drops off? Is it next year he drops off? Is it the year after? But whatever year he drops off, that value significantly drops. If you're a Trent, what are you, 25 years old now?
The problem is the contract. So I'm pretty sure they still haven't signed the contract yet.
I know, but it's not like footy where it's just like a free.
I do get that, but they did it with Mbappe. They let him run out. I
don't know. Trent isn't a player to prick over.
Yeah, he'll sign a deal.
The best way to explain.
Yeah,
like I think even he would be going, okay, let me have my transfer move.
Yeah,
let me go to Real, but I don't want to do.
I'll sign the deal. Club. You just sell me. Yeah.
I don't want to do wrong by the club. I think that's a fair.
Yeah, I just read that and thought, well, they're kicking them down. But fair play, Liverpool. It's a game that I thought would be difficult.
Yeah.
They got the job done. They really, there was a few chances, but they were in control from start to finish. And
definitely.
They remained top of the league, which is a fantastic start considering. Let's move to the next game. We'll summarise. I didn't watch it, but obviously the goal rush was on 5-3 Brentford Wolves. I think I predicted 2-2. So I expect the goals, but not 8 goals.
Yeah, I was tuned in and out of this and then got a good watch of the mini game. To say the least about this game, it was just end to end. But I think the difference was, although Brentford conceded 3, they were just a lot more solid in the back line. Like, I'm trying to remember. I think it was who scored their. I think to go 3-2 up.
Norgard scored the third.
Norgard scored the third, and that goal just epitomised Wolves' defence.
Yeah.
There was a pass pretty much 2 meters to the right of the left centre back, and it's just there was gaps everywhere. They're opened up. Both centre backs are marking nobody, just looking at the player 10 yards outside the box, having a stare off with him. There's a player to your right. He takes a touch and puts it across the keeper. Keeper can't save at the end. They've gone 3-2 up from there, and then I think they've quickly scored a fourth just before half time.
And then it was
there was just gaps everywhere. And I'm not saying that Brentford didn't have gaps. They definitely did, but
a fair amount of gaps as well.
It was just the difference. In terms of the attacking output, I didn't really see too much of a difference between Brentford and Wolves. But defensively, it was atrocious. And they've lost players in that backline. Collins, who was a big staple in the last 2 seasons now.
Yeah, and he was a young player. And Kilman obviously goes, and there's the captain goes. So you got 2 staples. One being the captain, and I just worry because you're right. Strand Larson got a good goal. He's a good player. Cunha's fantastic. Lamina's good. Bellegarde's good. The wing backs are okay, but they're just so attacking. And for Gary O'Neill, when was it? Bournemouth didn't concede. They never conceded. It was defense first, counter attack second. They're a great attacking team. If I look at the number 6 even forwards, I'm thinking this is one of a solid mid-table side.
Yeah, definitely.
But to have a win, conceding lots of
is it
goals.
1 point they're on?
I think 1 point, 1 or 2. And they've been in every single game. They were with the game with Arsenal. They were in the game versus, I think, Newcastle.
In the Liverpool game.
Obviously, but they've now been cut apart by Brentford and Chelsea twice this season. They conceded more than 5 goals.
Yeah,
it's
very concerning. I don't know. Is it maybe Gary O'Neill looking at the squad he has and going, I can't play that same way I did at Bournemouth, and maybe he goes, with the attacking output I have, the only way I can win games is to have a shootout. But that's a weird way to go about it. That is a weird way to go about it. And if I'm thinking of how Gary O'Neill would be approaching this season, I really doubt that's the case.
I hope not, for their sake. I would hope not. But he might have to be the way it's going. They look so leaky at the back, but it's definitely a watch because we all had them improved. Again, I had them going down last season. Then this year I had them well and truly safe. But in the back of your mind, you always thought you lose Kilman, you lose these players. Hwang's a form guy. How much longer can you trust this team before it runs out of luck? Speaking about goals, this thing I want to touch on a little bit deeper. City 3, Fulham 2.
Yeah, crazy game.
Everyone watched this game, it sort of felt and everyone thought the same thing where Fulham, how did you not get a point at least from this game?
A point, if not a win. They should have gone 2-0 up. I think Adama... second clear
second
chance.
One. Second of 3.
And I think the second was even more clear than the 1-on-1, which was in the first couple of minutes of the game. Yeah. And they go 2-0 up. And in the back of City's mind, no Rodri, no this. That Kovacic goal was a very lucky goal, the first one. The second one was pure class. Yeah. But the first one was quite lucky. And you look at that, and City are now on the back foot. City have to find the attacking output. Haaland wasn't in the game at all.
No.
So,
Quiet.
Fulham are really going to probably dread, looking back at it, because there was definitely a point, if not all 3, in my opinion, because you go 2-0 up.
Defense already doing well.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. If any team's going to come back from 2-0 down, it's City. But you're still 2-0 up, probably could push in going into the break 2-0 up, because, I don't know. But Fulham do look really, really promising.
You said they'll look back at it. I think they might look back at it come the end of the season and think they might miss out in Conference League and be like, gee, if we'd gotten because I reckon it might get that close now.
Yeah.
Because we know Tottenham's struggling. We'll get into them later on in the video. United are struggling. Brighton inconsistent.
And then the likes that we had, we all believe West Ham would be pushing up.
They're not there.
They've done a reverse.
Even Newcastle aren't great yet, really.
No, definitely not.
So Fulham are in that. They're probably who I blindly
there's 5
thought.
teams. That's really
That's a lot of teams there.
no, but there's 5 teams at the top of the ladder that you'd expect to be there.
There's 5 and 5 though.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like
what I think.
Yeah, so like that's 10. That's the top half. So then it's like
Anyone,
finish
but
10
I feel like a lot of teams, if they could get into that other 5 and make it a 6 or make it a 7 as well.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, it could easily turn that way around. So, as much as maybe I'm being ridiculous, but at this current point in time, Fulham are one of those form teams. So you don't carry that form on. I was just impressed with like the way that. Yes, they weren't like Barcelona in terms of possession, but they actually had a bit of the ball. They had a bit of interplay. They counter. Obviously, it's ridiculous because you got Traore and Iwobi, but yeah, I tell you what, it wasn't actually a bad performance. And like
No, definitely not.
The Pereira goal, the back heel assist from Jimenez, they were actually like playing some bloody good football.
Jimenez has really been.
He's turned around.
Yeah.
I think it's 3-3 now.
Yeah, but disregarding his goals, disregarding his assists, he just looks that play again. He looks like he's back at Wolves. Like, we have not seen that since the head injury.
Nah. Not this much of a form as well. We would have like maybe 2 games. This would be
games,
like
but
4 or 5 games.
Yeah, but I'm not even necessarily looking too much into the goals. Just his performance, how he's playing, the link up. He looks confident. He looks like he can take on that player. Yeah. Hit that shot across goal, and it's showing in the output as well.
Yeah, it's matching it.
So
it's a big one. It's a big one. Are we thinking this is a real deal for? Is Fulham going to be like a West Ham mold this season? Like just missed out in Europe, like that sort of mold? Or
yeah, I'm not sure about them pushing Europe. I'm not convinced. I don't know if they have the quality.
Yeah,
there we're probably looking at some of these players who were all. If they get back to their form, yes.
Yeah,
like the likes of Jimenez, like Smith Rowe showed he's obviously quality. Yeah. He was quality at Arsenal, but we're talking about a 2-year block where bloke hardly played.
Didn't touch the grass.
It's not that easy to come back and do a full season after that. Yeah. But then we don't know. Like you look at the likes of Cole Palmer, who was just consistently sitting on the bench for City and what he did. Yeah, with those young type of players, they don't really need the game time. Sometimes they can just go out there as long as they express themselves, not be. Have that creativeness which is like allowed by the manager, which sometimes by the likes of we've seen it with Palmer. And I'll touch on that as well. But while we're talking about the City game, I wouldn't mind touching on that. I feel like the likes of Palmer is the likes of Bernardo, probably even Savinho. Looking at those Grealish prototypes. They're actually quite similar players, but they don't get the output at City because I feel like City is very much now this like prototype. You get ball, you do this.
Yeah.
I feel like Palmer left City at the perfect time where he still had all that creativeness, flair that wasn't held back.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if Palmer left City 5 years later, I'm not sure
he lost that.
Yeah, if he loses a little bit of that, like he becomes more that robo type player that we see now at the Arsenals and Cities.
Yeah.
Whereas he just sits there at the 10 and he's like, for example, like we even look back 2 weeks ago at the free kick.
Ridiculous.
Does he shoot that free kick if he's at City, or does he put that back post?
It's a good. Probably does put back post system. Yeah, he'd be forced to do that.
Yeah. Does he go, when he puts that ball, like the only way he gets that ball to Jackson is he hits that ball 20 metres up in the air because it's the only way he gets that. Does he even try that at City? Or does he go, I turn around and I hit a midfielder, I hit a winger?
Yeah.
Does he even try that at City? Probably not.
It's true. It's really
but
true.
yeah, while I've probably gone a little bit off track here.
But that's my point about Grealish quickly to finish off. Like, I've been pretty impressed with him this year because, again, I think he still is sort of that now become a robo player.
Yeah.
But he's starting to, like, at least drive at places. Last year, I swear, he'd get the ball and pass every single time.
But I don't know if it's that when you're at City, you don't have that license to drive. It's just like, I feel like it's 2 options. You drive at the player or you pass back. There's not that ability to, I cut in and put a ball back post. Or I cut in and I hit a...
whack one top corner.
Whack one top corner. It's like, I'll drive and then I'll try to find Haaland. Like, it's very much... It's starting to become a little bit predictable. And I don't know if it matters because of the quality of players and how good the system is. Yeah, the system is just so far more superior than any other system, any other game plan. That doesn't really matter. Yeah. But it probably doesn't get the best output out. Like, it doesn't really show the true qualities of certain players.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I think Grealish and... I think Savio might become one of them players as well. He might get stuck like that.
Well, he's showed that flair early on, but does he? If we come back to Savio in 18 months' time,
we could be seeing a Grealish again. Yeah, because Grealish was that guy.
Grealish was.
Villa. He was cutting in, whacking them top corner, step overs.
Grealish is a very, very, very similar archetype to Palmer.
Yeah.
Very similar.
I think Grealish should be more explosive than Palmer is when he was at Villa. I think he was even better at what Palmer does than what he. But then, force into a system, force to pass a bit more. It's interesting.
There's a lot of those City Academy players running around now.
A lot. Too many for my liking.
Delap.
Yeah.
I'd like to touch on him.
Yeah, we're going to team after our first segment. But there's a lot going on. And quickly as well, Kovacic, by the way, I think the commentator said it. He's doing his best Rodri impression with some of the stuff he's doing.
Definitely.
Little place, bottom corner, dominated the midfield. Fair play to them. Quickly, Archie had this as my second screen. Hoping for a good game, but as Leicester 1, Bournemouth 0. Leicester get their first win of the season.
Yep.
Bournemouth unfortunate, but fair play Leicester. They're actually a very good home team, so they got a big win there.
Should have probably,
Unfortunate for Bournemouth.
Should have probably put 2 or 3 past them as well to really... Vardy had a...
I tell you what, it was a tale of two halves, or like most games over the weekend, but Leicester probably should have gone 2-0 up at half time, saying that Bournemouth hit the post 3 times second half. So it was one of those ones...
Probably less clear though. Wasn't the post from a corner or my...
One was from a free header, one was from a shot, one was from a corner. So they had a bit of 3 different stuff. But again, as a Bournemouth watcher, I'm trying to see where they're tracking, same as Palace, and both unfortunately haven't kicked on as I thought they would. Let's get into our first segment. I wish Flynn was here for this because this is one I really want to see his point of view on. But going with our 2 early team of the season, an interesting one. This one here again, just the reactionary stuff like we love it here on the channel. I try to get some different players, and I think I did okay with it. Again, because there's a few different type of players in some form. But again, you're going to have a lot of your Cities, your Arsenal players.
Yeah, it doesn't actually look too dissimilar to what I would expect.
End of season.
However, I think there are a few names in there that would probably come end of season. We go, he won't be there. But
I forced in 4 different players.
To what?
To this team.
To what you had last year?
Or I think probably definitely from last year. And I've accepted my fate with the 2 centre-backs. But I think outside of the back line and some of the front line players, I've tried to change it up in the midfield. I think we might have some differences in this team here. I really try to make it different as possible because it can be so easily just a combined Arsenal City 11. So I tried my best.
Mine's not too far off that.
I've got
a few different.
Let's go position for position.
Okay.
Actually, no, let's go like back line, midfield, forwards, and we'll compare that way. Get kids off. Who's your goalkeeper and back 4?
Martinez.
Oh, Martinez.
I think he's really good so
far.
Very
good. He's been very good.
Yeah, quite. And then just watching even...
last night was
good. Last night, some of the saves like that. Yeah. Rashford tap over. Does that creep in? I don't know. But he was really... he was really solid last night. I think that probably maybe a little bit of fresh bias.
Yeah. Well, Champions League was nuts as well.
Yeah, the Champions League was nuts. Dino.
Okay. Yeah, Dino left back.
Gabriel and Verge.
Oh, you and Verge?
I went. I think he's continued it on. I like it. I think as well, I could have very easily gone Gabriel and Saliba.
Yeah.
But they have leaked a few goals, Arsenal. So I felt
obliged.
They've been really good. And realistically, in the back of my head.
End of the season, they're
the 2 centre-backs.
Yeah.
But can I put the 2 centre-backs and they've leaked a few goals? It's quite hard.
No, that's true.
It's quite hard for me to do that. And then Timber right back. So he's gone to right back. He's gone to right back now, which was a big call that we were saying because we're all talking here and we're like, where does Calafiori play?
Yeah.
Calafiori is not coming into the team for 50 million.
To not play.
Arteta hasn't had a meeting with him and gone, you're sitting on the bench after his season for Bologna, could have played Champions League for Bologna, been their star player, very easily could have gone with Motta to Juventus, being a star player there. He hasn't gone to Arsenal to do his 10 minutes and maybe start the Champions League game against Red Star Belgrade. He hasn't done that, okay? Like, don't get me wrong, he hasn't done that. And we've seen he's not doing that.
Yeah.
He's taken that left back. They've dropped Ben White.
Yeah, it's a funny one.
In his entirety now.
Yeah, it's
strange. And they pulled Timber over to right back, which is a really interesting move. I know he's now cutting in.
Mm-hmm. It's so hard to read the Arsenal back line.
But, like, why is Timber playing right back? I don't think anyone expected that, including Flynn.
No. And I would...
Timber's left-footed, if I'm...
Yeah, I'm just going to get this stats up here. Because you're right, I've seen it at right back. But he started the season at left back as well. So, like...
No, but he started the season at left back when they were trying to integrate Calafiori into the team. Yeah. Now that Calafiori's in, and even...
He's right-footed.
So he was playing left back last year from right-footed.
So you can make the whole cut in. But see, now that works for bar line. Because Ben White was hugging the bar line. That was him. Whereas the left side player would come in.
Yeah.
So now I guess they give the license to Calafiori to possibly come in.
Well, I think Calafiori, he's a very, very weird archetype. He's a bit more like that Van de Ven when he used to play centre-back. Like, he can actually push forward and he's quite good attacking. Like, I was actually watching some of his highlights when he was at Roma. He's scoring goals that you would see from a number 10. And you saw that again in the City game.
Yeah,
like,
that's a wow.
He's very, very good technically, very good in attacking. Like, you wouldn't usually, if we go back 10 years, there's no way Calafiori ever was a centre-back.
No.
It's only because now, like, you can play those type of players in that more defensive. But, like, he's quite good in terms of technically.
On the ball.
Very good, yeah, so maybe, and then he's quite good defensively. He's a little bit sketchy coming with his pace. You've seen a couple of times them just, like, defenders run around the outside of him and he struggles. But, well, we're not talking about Calafiori anyway.
No,
we're about Timber.
But
Timber was right back because I didn't really see any other right backs that flashed out to me.
Yeah, mine was a tough one to pick.
Who was your back for?
So I went David Raya in goal.
Yeah.
Again, he's made some ridiculous... Either one, I think, would have had both in originally. I went Vardy left back. I think he's still been fantastic from last season. Again, and fullbacks in the Prem right now aren't great.
No, that's why I went Luca Digne. Yeah. He lost his... Well, he semi-lost his spot at the back end of last season.
But he's won it back big
But he's won it back and he's been good this season. Even last night, he was quite... I think everyone's biggest problem with him is probably his defensive output.
He covered off some...
But he was quite good last night, been good this season, so...
Yeah, I went Vardy just because of the consistency and some of the goals as well he can score. I went Gabriel Saliba centre-back so Flynn wouldn't get mad at me this time around. And I went Enzo Konza right back, who played centre-back against us last night. I get the Timber shout, probably a better shout, but I think Enzo Konza is an underrated... He's not a flash, not a flashy player. He's not going to be someone's going to stand out. But when I do watch, I haven't watched as much in entirety this season, but even Champions League, I've seen a bit of it. I don't mind him. Again, I didn't think it was going to work at right back. I think I would have said last year, I think on the channel, I think they'd get a proper wing back, so I don't trust Konza there. But I got to eat my own words because he's been okay this season. And I think, for me, one of the most consistent out of the lot. So I've backed him in at right back for me. Midfield three? Yeah,
this isn't too probably off what it'll be at the end of the season.
Here we go.
But one's come in, but rightfully so.
Yeah.
And wouldn't be here if it wasn't for an injury. Kovacic in.
Got Kovacic in. Okay, I was close to putting him in.
Kovacic, Havertz and Palmer. If you've ever seen attacking trio.
Havertz in. I was close to getting Havertz in.
Havertz is obviously playing as the striker, but I think he had to go in. Yeah. He's been really good. Goals, 4 goals so far this season. So pivotal. I'm pretty sure he scored in every single home game this season, including Champions League and the Cup. I think he's got 6 goals at home or something.
Yeah, it's every game he scored. Yeah,
6 goals at home, something ridiculous like that. Palmer obviously puts himself in. If anyone in the team comes in, it's him. He just walks in. And then Kovacic.
I like the Kovacic out.
Kovacic, not just the game. We also think about the Chelsea game.
Yep.
Which everyone might forget about.
Yeah,
and that was when, and if we're going to do just, he's only played good since he's covered Rodri's position, okay? They played together that game, remember?
Yeah.
So, I think definitely he deserved them. When looking at the other midfielders around the comp that were either in the team last season or stuff or something, obviously probably a bit hard to put Rodri in.
Hard to put Rodri, hard to put KDB if you hate him.
Probably even hard to put Rice. I don't think he's been that good this season.
In there. And Odegaard, if you had Odegaard as well, you can't really put him in either because he's been injured for most of it. So, as such, mine's very different. I've pre-warned. I've got.
You have Palmer, that's it.
I've got Palmer, but the rest is nuts. I went Palmer at the 10. I've gone with a double pivot of Caicedo and Gravenberch as my two holders.
Oh, see, the Gravenberch one, yeah. That's quality.
In terms of the first 8, which I'm sort of based on, the first 8 games of the season, probably been the most improved, getting on something in a bit, most improved midfielder. And then for me, Caicedo's back to his Brighton days. I think for Chelsea, I don't back them in defensively much at all, but he's the one holding it down for them. And I think without Caicedo there, that team looks really, really shallow, hollow. So I really like what he's done. And I'm a big fan of Caicedo. I think he's been hard done by because of the rubbish that they play around. So him at the double pivot with Gravenberch, it was fantastic on the weekend. Those two for me have been the bolters with Rodri and Odegaard, and these sort of players not being present. There's more space in the midfield. Kovacic I had originally, but I thought I can't not put these two in. I love what they've done to start the season off.
I think Kovacic or Gravenberch, I think they've both been really good this season.
Yeah.
For me, it was more so. I think Gravenberch has been probably as good as Kovacic, but I was just thinking in my head, am I prioritising Gravenberch more so because of the leap he's had?
Yeah, versus
which he probably rightfully so. He ripped apart United, and rightfully so. He should be in any team. And looking back at it, I've tried to squeeze Havertz in where he doesn't really play. Probably very easily could have put Havertz. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, not Havertz. Kovacic and Gravenberch next to each other.
Yeah. It's tough. There's a lot of
definitely.
There's some good attackers.
Very early on in the season.
It's very early. That's what we're here for the early season.
It's probably the one team where we'll have a few differences. So
that's why I like this bit.
I think our front three will be the same though.
Maybe not. I have to force one more different player in there because I think he's been ridiculous. Go with your front three. Who have you got your front three? I think I know the two of them.
Saka.
Yep.
Haaland.
I've got those two. Who's your left winger?
Diaz.
I don't have Diaz.
You don't have Diaz.
I have Mbeumo.
See, I wanted to put him in, but he doesn't really play.
He's on the right. He's on the right. I know.
So I was no, you're definitely right and warrants it. But yeah, see, I've probably actually been a bit of a hypocrite with this because I've squeezed Havertz in because he played a bit of 8 last season, and I was like, I've squeezed him in. He definitely warrants. At this stage of the season, played 7 games, scored 4 goals. Havertz looking to score 15 goals when he's not even a striker, but. Yeah, and Mbeumo definitely is a shout and definitely should be up there. But Diaz probably has been just as good and is a left winger.
And he's a left winger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Diaz has been good as well. Like, we know he can go in and out of form, but I think what Mitch... I remember Mitch was here on that live watch and he said, we're so used to missing chances. But he doesn't miss chances anymore.
He's so clinical.
He's clinical now.
I think he's got 5 goals.
Yeah.
Probably gone a little bit off since that United game.
It's tough when they're playing so many games. And
exactly.
I understand.
But I don't know if he's had any output since the United game. But yeah, he's definitely started the season off well. And when we probably look at the likes of Salah not being at the peak of his powers and them not really having a number 9.
Yeah, no, they're not shot today.
Diaz has been really that hole.
Yeah.
So
shining light.
Yeah, been quite good. And then do we even really need to talk about the other two? Saka trying to do his best. The Saka and Cole Palmer are trying to do their best Thierry Henry impression.
Genuinely.
Who can genuinely, if anyone can do the 2020, it's them two.
I think one of them. Oh, no, it's ridiculous.
Because obviously Haaland can get the 40-goal contribution,
but not get the assist.
He's not going to get the assist. Palmer's 6 goals, 5 assists. 6 goals, 5 assists after 7. That is on track. And Saka's the goals is the problem. He's only got 2 and 7. But I'm expecting the goals to come for Saka.
Could they do it? One of them do it?
I don't know if Saka does, because I feel like Saka probably finishes the season with he'll probably get the assist.
Like 15 goals.
But probably the 15 goals. Whereas Cole Palmer's got the 6 goals. He probably gets the 20 and he's got 5 assists. Cole Palmer at this current point in time, and we're talking so early on.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen an early call,
this is an early call.
This is as early as you're gonna get. We're going match week 7 predictions right here after Guy having. But Bloke has 11 goal contributions. It's not 10 assists, 1 goal. It's not 10 goals, 1 assist. Like we see with Saka and Haaland, who are both on the obviously opposite ends of those things. Cole Palmer is the guy, but I think
He could do it.
yeah, he could do it.
Because he's on pens.
He's got the freedom as well, which is like he just basically bobs. He plays as those traditional number 10s, which we haven't seen in the game for probably 5 to 8 years now. You never see that player who basically just decides, I'm going to do whatever I want to do today. He just pops up some gaps, runs around,
Just
chippy chip himself.
Chippy chips and in goals. They could do...
It's crazy. I would say Saka isn't ruled out of that because we know he's got the goals.
Yeah, he's got
So
goals.
the assist... Oh.
He was so passionate about Saka.
Yeah, the assists are there,
Yeah.
but we haven't seen the goals, but we know the goals are going to come with Saka.
And he should be on pens with...
And I'm expecting him to get, only 13 more assists for him? He's going at an assist a game. Does he get 13 more? Definitely.
Definitely does that.
Especially with some of the balls, like that ball to Martinelli. That
Also,
was
go
was
to that game in a bit, but
creme de la creme
that
if you've
was
ever seen it.
That was nuts. Yeah, I can't add any more. Haaland and Saka are fantastic. And Burma for me, obviously keeping on the game of the weekend, could have had maybe 2 goals. He's got 6 goals already this season, and like we come into the year thinking, oh, no Tony.
Yeah.
Who will stand up? Who'll be the? Is it Visa started okay? Then he got injured. And it's like now it's in Burma's team, and yet we know Burma is incredible, but for me this start is like this is unheard of in terms of what we expect. Because I thought Burma was one of those. I always talk about Barclays, man. This is like the Prem dude. It's like everyone will remember in 20 years' time, Brian Burma. He's a good striker, but now he's making himself like a top striker, second in Golden Boot, 6 goals, only behind Haaland. Scored more goals in our club.
Yeah, with Flynn's favourite bet, you can only do the goal. You can only do the Golden Boot
without
Haaland. Okay,
whoever wins it without.
Yeah, just go straight on the sports bet and do the one without Haaland. Like they've never done this before, sports bet, but they've opened it up.
No market with Haaland.
Yeah, they've opened up a market because like, what's the Haaland market paying? Match week 7 already paying probably like $1.05.
$0.00001.
Yeah, like legit. The only way Haaland ain't winning the Golden Boot is if he gets injured.
Literally.
And he's also probably got to get injured before match week 20.
Yeah, for any chance of
having. Because you'll probably have, by match week 20, 25 goals.
25, yeah.
And that probably wins you the Golden Boot.
That's done. That's game done. There you go. That's our team. That's well said. That's actually very well said. There's our teams. I'll run through mine quickly and you can run through yours. I went Raya, Vardiol, Gabriel and Salibra, Konsa right back, Caicedo, Gravenberch, and Palmer, then Bermo, Saka, and then Haaland.
So I had Dibu Martinez in goal.
Yeah.
And then I had Digne, Verge, Gabriel, Timber with a midfield 3 of Kovacic, Havertz, and Palmer with a front 3 of Diaz and Saka on the wings with Haaland up top.
Your team scoring goals were fun. I feel like with that midfield, Havertz pushing on, Palmer pushing on.
Might be a bit leaky in the back, but I'm pretty happy with Gabriel and Verge.
You can hold it down,
And even Timber. Timber's really a defensive type player.
Just play proper.
Digne's allowed to go on.
Yeah.
Dibu at the moment's on fire.
He's having anything that goes near him.
Yeah.
That catch for Anthony's shot last night was ridiculous.
He's crazy.
He's ridiculous. Let's quickly talk about Arsenal. Again, got the job done, similar to Liverpool and similar to City. They were down for a little bit, a great counter-attacking goal for Archer. And then I said, okay, we're going to play football again. Saka, that assist to Martinelli for the second goal, ridiculous pinpoint. Then he scores himself. And it was Havertz to score the first 3-1 in the end. In the end, it looks easier than it was, but...
Oh, definitely. They had their chances. So Archer makes it 1-1. 1-0, sorry. But then, I think from then, it went 1-1, and they had another big chance.
Hit the crossbar.
Yeah.
And Armstrong hit the crossbar, and Dibbling hit the post as well. So, they went...
Yeah, and did Archer have another chance, or my...
He might have, but from what I'd watched, I think it was just those 2 post hits.
Yeah, but it was like quite a good performance.
It was good for Southampton, but...
Yeah, Archer's been good.
Is this a Sheffield United case again, though?
I think it's hard, though. Like, we put a lot on these strikers, and we got to understand sometimes they are going to go through form patches, not because of their own form, because of the output of the team. Sometimes these players, especially the way they play and the quality of team they are more towards the bottom of the ladder, they're going to go... They're expected They're the only not expected. Sorry, the only way they have a decent output, because they're never going to have a high output. The only way they have a decent output is if they are so clinical, score above their XG, because they don't get those chances. And all it needs is a month where they don't they don't score above their XG, and they score 1 goal in 5 games, and everyone's like jumping on them.
Yeah.
Oh nah, he's out of form. You know what? Southampton, they need a better striker. Like, It was the same with Sheffield United last year. What were the chances he really got? And he did go missing. Don't get me wrong.
But he has those flashes, like that long shot he scored at Sheffield United, this goal as well.
But you're expecting,
we know it's there.
Yeah, but like he needs to pull out like Rashford prime performances to be able to have output.
Yeah.
Because he's never going to get the ball like Haaland gets, or these quality strikers get in places where he just taps them in.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
He has to create and score himself, which is tough. I'll give my props. Russell Martin, he might get sacked because might not work out, but he's going down swinging. Like they were seconds away to beating Ipswich. They were pretty good versus Man United. They were awesome here versus Arsenal.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a case of their team's just not of quality. It's just
it's unfortunate because they're probably the one team. You look at the other two that have come up.
Yeah, they have a little bit about them. They have a little bit of
Ipswich, I'm not sure if they've got the quality, but they're showing enough at the moment.
Yeah, they could take a point of Villa.
Yeah.
They're in and around games.
They're showing enough, and then Leicester definitely have the quality. I think, we didn't touch on it, but we'll touch on it. I'll just touch on it quickly. We were talking. Flynn said that they've got a very similar team to what they went down with.
Yeah.
But that team probably that year was probably just a little bit out of form. We're also talking about players who a lot of that team was there when they finished 4th.
Yeah.
They've also brought in a Harry Winks who started in a Champions League final. Who everyone forgets about. And don't get me wrong, he's no starter at a big 6 club, but he's definitely a mid-table centre mid.
Yeah.
They've got other players around. The likes of James Justin is in quite a good patch of form at the moment.
Yeah.
There's a lot of players there that you see a lot of positives with. And that's the thing when you look at Southampton. They're like continually relying on that one player, Archer, to pull something out of nothing.
Yeah.
And it's probably a little bit similar with Ipswich. They're relying on Dalip at the moment. And it's probably going to be the downfall of both of those teams.
Yeah.
Whereas you look at Leicester, it's a lot more spread. There's quality. There's probably a lot more quality around the park.
I'm just still worried about the striker because if Vardy is, 37 or something?
Yeah.
They're still relying on him to bag goal. But you're right, they are a much improved side. Speaking about Ipswich, 4-1 loss to West Ham. I should have watched it a bit more intently because I thought this would be the sack game for Lopetegui. If he lost this, I reckon he was gone. And so, like you sort of said to me a bit off air, you sort of buy yourself time by winning games. And he's sort of bought himself a month again by winning, I think, at least by winning this game because West Ham fans can get on their back of their team.
Well, it's
quickly.
very hard. They've gone and sacked Moyes off finishing 10th.
Yeah, mid.
You want to really,
Top end of
you know what
mid-table.
it's starting to remind me of, and it might pick up. It's starting to give me very much last year O'Neill, Areola type vibes.
Yeah.
Like when you look at that, Areola did not start the season off well. He had a lot of pressure, and Bournemouth made a real hard call after O'Neill had quite a good season the season before.
Yeah, absolutely. Killed it.
And it's like, the problem is, if Moyes goes out the year before, the year before when they finished 15th, you probably go at the moment, you know what, our previous manager didn't do well. Moyes has gone out, finishing 10th or 9th? Finishing 9th, having a great season, bringing those new signings in, and they were all gelled together straight away. Yeah, awesome. And it seems like now they're out of sorts. Yeah. And they've got this new manager now, Lopetegui, and it's like, if you don't, you've sacked a manager because you want to take your team to the next level.
Yeah.
But you haven't even took your team to the level of the previous manager.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That is the problem. And how much time he's going to have. That's why it's really hard to bite when you've gone up, and especially your West Ham. That's like West Ham sacking Moyes finishing 9th would be like Arteta getting sacked finishing 2nd.
It feels like that, doesn't it? Yeah. Like that was probably the ceiling for their team last season. Let's be realistic. Every team above them,
and they've made signings now as well.
Yeah.
So let's not hold on that we go, at least he should be doing what Moyes did last season. He's gone and brought in 2 quality centre-backs in which that was their biggest problem last season.
Yeah.
I reckon if you give if you give Tadibo and Collins to Moyes, Moyes doesn't finish worse than 9th this season.
Yeah, they needed to.
Would you agree with that?
I would. Like, you look at this. They were behind United, Newcastle, and Chelsea.
And Footberg there. Were the 3 positions they lacked last season were 2 centre backs because Zuma and Mavropanos just weren't it.
Yeah.
And a clinical number 9.
Yeah.
They've brought those 3 players in.
Give the guy a chance.
You can probably give Footberg a little bit of a break because we know as a striker into these middle place teams coming in isn't the easiest. We've seen it so many times by so many different strikers. They need that time because as we say, they don't get the output that those top strikers get at those top clubs. That then they're basically chasing their tail from the start. But they've brought in. We've talked about how reckless Mavropanos is. We've talked about how Zuma wasn't that finished product, and they've brought in 2 and one. Tadibo is hardly starting.
Let's make sure. So Tadibo started the previous game. Did he start this game? So it was Kilman and Tadibo this week. So they did start the back four.
So they're getting into it. And obviously you're going to give Lopetegui time. But they've got to now start winning because with that team they've got, it is quality. It is pure. They've brought in Wan-Bissaka, who is... This is what I'm trying to say. These are Moyes type signings as well.
Yeah.
If you gave Moyes, you bring in Wan-Bissaka, you bring in Tadibo and Collins, and you give Foyberg, Moyes would be licking his lips right now. He'd go, "I'll give you European football this year. I will give you European football." I reckon he'd make it his word that he'd give him European football with those signings.
I look at the starting 11. Alphonse Areola, I'm not convinced, but he's still a decent enough keeper. Tadibo and Kilman, the 2 centre-backs, fantastic. Upgrade on last season. Wan-Bissaka right back, upgrade on Soufal. Emerson left back, I think is a pretty handy
good
player.
left back, yeah.
You've got Jared Bond off the right, Paquetá at the 10, Kudus off the left. Fantastic. Rodriguez and...
That's another one we forgot about.
Yeah.
Look at these signings. They're signings that I take at United.
Rodriguez, Souček midfield. Souček's playing like he's a man revived. Antonio gets some form, they can scores a goal. Obviously, Fulkrug has to come back from injury. He'll probably start when he's back. Carlos Soler, Edson Alvarez off the bench.
That's what I'm saying.
Somerville. Like,
We don't have players off the bench at United like this.
Danny Ing. This is a bloody good bench.
That's what I'm saying. And that's where I probably agree because you can't go losing to Ipswich. So lucky.
No.
But the fact, he probably has, and you've got to give him time. But if something hasn't changed and they haven't gone on a little run by probably match week 13, 14, there's going to be some real questions. If not, the boot would be given because that team is quality. You got to look at that team and you compare it to the likes of Newcastle and Aston Villa, which are the other teams that have taken those next step in the previous years. Is it much worse? Because at the time when Newcastle and Aston Villa, these names that we talk about now weren't there as well.
No, and the depth wasn't the same.
They were there, but they were there at the capability of the West Ham current players. Isaac was a player who came over and big money signing, but was he Premier League proven? No, not at that point.
No. Even
same with Bruno.
Joe Linton.
Yeah, and we could very much go look at these players and compare them. Fulberg coming over. Pretty similar, I'd say, to Isaac.
It's tough because
probably
he's injured.
Both done it in another league, but had very similar output in those other leagues, in which we'd compare those other leagues to be very similar. We go look at when they brought in their defensive output. Yeah, quite similar. The signings they've made,
like how they brought in Byrne and who was the other centre back they brought in at Newcastle? Jeez. And Trippier came across for that start. So they're doing the same sort of mold. Like the same
and it's those same sort of players that if Villa was to do it now, I'd very much see them signing those players. If Newcastle were to do it and now it's 3 seasons later, I'd expect Newcastle to sign these sort of players. So these are players that are of quality, whether they've done it in different leagues and they've not been able to transcend it. But when you go look at you got to look at Kilman. Kilman started in the Premier League.
He's a captain for Wolves.
Tadibo is quality, and we know he's quality. Wan-Bissaka's for what West Ham are asking of him. Obviously, he's not. We know what Wan-Bissaka's flaws are, but
he's prime quality.
No one's ever questioned Wan-Bissaka's defensive output. No one's ever questioned that. And that's what West Ham want him for. So, I don't know. It is concerning.
Yeah.
But
I say
probably a little bit early to jump at it.
It's not
now considering they had that 4-1 win, but it would have been a different scenario had they lost.
Yeah. My big thing I was just worried about the big time players because until the weekend, I hadn't seen Bowen, Paqueta, and Kudus work, and I'm like, how can it not work? Because they were. You said it right, and that was actually a good point. Probably backed mine up. They went in last season and clicked for minute one. So how can you not click now under this new manager who shouldn't? He's actually been apparently supposed to be improving your team. So that was
it was a very
worry.
As you've mentioned many times, it was a very, very weird situation there at West Ham, getting rid of Moyes and basically just bringing in Spanish Moyes.
I'm still yet to be. I'm fine. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I don't know why they did that. I thought, and you're right. Moyes' utensils were there.
Exactly. If they had like an Unai on the sideline, go for 100%. It. Who we know plays and you're changing your whole style of football at that point.
I'm just not convinced it's changing. No. Let's get on to a set of 0-0s. Everton 0, Newcastle 0. All I wrote down was this is a Dyche masterclass. This is a classic Dyche game.
Pickford back to his best.
Pickford, big save from a penalty, a double save, I think, later on in the game as well. Yes, Newcastle has some chances, but when you look at the game in totality, it's not like any team deserved a win or deserved a goal.
This is why I was bullish, very bullish on Everton, and I think I kept them up. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, I think you did. Yeah.
I think I just kept them up, I'm convinced they're going to be in and around until probably like match week 36 at the minimum, because that's just how they are.
Yeah.
But I've just been so bullish that they would stay up, just because I know how Dyche football goes on these runs. 1-0, 0-0, as he likes to say, the 4-4-2, compact, the two left and right midfielders tucked in, the two long ball, big ass strikers. Yeah. It's just that, like, I'm convinced, and you're not going to ever push European football again like you did at Burnley. No. And you're right about it. If you want to take your team to the next level, you can never play that football. But can you grind out results? 100%. And it's why I was so against Vincent Kompany last year.
Yeah, no, because it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
It's not a Prem
And
system.
Southampton's probably pretty similar to that.
Southampton will go exactly the same way, it looks like. Yeah,
it's like, you're not going to... You know what it's like? You're trying to go, I'm going to take City to City's game with far less inferior players. Or could I just take City to a complete different game style? What's going to work?
Yeah.
The complete different game style? Yeah. Or trying to take City to City?
City not going to work,
Yeah, I'm going to take City to City, playing Cameron Archer instead of Haaland. Yeah. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. In the long run, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it makes no sense. No, it makes sense. Valid. Big drop of points of Newcastle. Another, I'm not convincing again performance from them. We'll touch on Chelsea 1, Forest 1 again. A game that was dead until right at the end. The goal came from Wood just after half-time. Madueke equalised just after that. And then craziness happened after that. So Ward-Prowse sent off for basically hugging the football. After he got skipped past, he just brought it in and just hugged it to his chest. He was sent off. Then it all went down. A superb double save from Matt Sells in the 87th minute to deny Palmer. João Felix missed a massive open header. Nico Williams then was denied by Robert Sanchez. Seconds later, went down the other end, and Nkunku was saved denied by Sells again. And then Jota should have made it a Nottingham Forest win, but he was denied by Sanchez horizontal saves. It was ridiculous save after save. The game was basically a ball fest until the last few moments, but ended up in a 1-1 draw. Another good point for Forest.
Very good. And if you're Chelsea, you're ruining those misses.
Oh, absolutely.
It's terrible.
Down to 10 men.
Take Chelsea to the next level. And are they going to be in a title run with the other three this year? Maybe even the other two? Probably not.
No.
But they would have just been 1 point behind first at this point in the season. Go into that second international break, confidence running.
That is confidence.
And I don't think they're going to lose much confidence, but it's just a little dip. And you've been playing well. Maseka's come in, implemented his game plan, his strategies, and it's been good. But then you really sometimes rue those chances. And that what people don't understand is they go ahead and win that game, it could be the difference of 5 extra points throughout the season because of what transcends after the break. It's not just you drop 2 points today. That only works when you're the mentality of when you had Klopp and Pep, who you knew were when the players knew were such like staples in the team, built confidence over the years. Yeah. We're talking about the 5th season of Klopp and the 3rd season of Pep. Yeah. We're not talking, even for those type of players, it probably wasn't there in their first season. When you're a first season manager, you got to build that confidence. Your players got to feel like, you know what, when we have that draw, it was just a little dip, we'll be back up. But
it's a progression thing, isn't it? The Chelsea aren't there yet.
Yeah, they're not yet. If they have confidence.
If they had won that game, confidence or just performance alone, that tells me, oh shit, that actually might be equivalent to a Liverpool last season where they can go and be around the place.
It's just still reminiscing a little bit of last season for Chelsea.
It's still the same.
If Palmer goes, everything is through Palmer.
Yeah.
Everything. And there are other players who are playing better this season, definitely, than they did last season. Yeah. And I'm not going to say it is completely the Palmer show, but it still feels like even the goal on the weekend, as you say, the double chance by Palmer.
Yeah. Double chance. That was a big one. Everyone highlighted.
It feels like everything is Palmer. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it also relying on a player that heavily. Arsenal and City don't. Even probably Liverpool don't. However, Liverpool did win it. But then did they? Did they win it off Salah's back? No, they still had Virg. They still had Sadio Mane. Yeah. They still had a lot of players who you thought if Salah wasn't there, they might not win the Prem, but they're still going to be smashing down that door. Like, I feel like the drop-off for Palmer not playing is a lot.
Yeah.
At the moment, I think it's closing. The gap's closing.
It's much of a... This my word, I think I'll go with progression. That's the progression that this team to make. Maybe in a way the Palmer century, but also the team can perform. Like the team performance. Like the team was a good performance, but no result. Like they've got over the not performing well. They've got to the performing well part. They now need the perform well and win part. That's like the following step. Then after that, you go to the step where you're the big gun. So there's sort of 3 or 2 steps taking that big jump and hope. You know, if they win these type of games this season, that's 2 steps ticked off. Then you go to the final stage where you like refine your tactics and stuff. But
exactly. That's
a game that felt like last season. Like you said, do you get over the line? No. It feels like you should get over the line. Again, Nottingham Forest, you can't discredit them. They've actually been okay this season. I think they're still top half, if I'm not. I'll quickly check that before we get into our next segment. Yeah, 10th. On 10th. Equal points with Spurs. So they're doing their thing, Nottingham Forest. Fair play. It's Nuno ball back at its best. All right, let's go to our second segment for the last 2 games. 5 most improved players start the season off from the first 7 games. Who we think has made a jump from last year in their performances.
All 5?
Let's do one at a time. We'll do one for one.
So I think one that we're definitely going to have that's quite similar.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if we're going to have many similar.
We'll see.
We'll see. This is Gravenberch.
Yeah, Gravenberch.
So Gravenberch is obviously probably the easiest one to put on this list. You see the difference. Is that because of game time? Probably. He didn't get that much last season. Probably more towards the back end. He started to play a bit more. But yeah, he's been so good. We on the couch pre-season were like, Liverpool, they haven't brought that midfielder in. They've put in that big bid for Zupimendi to come in. Just no Zupimendi. No, we're not making any signings. What's going on here? They had Endo last year, but Endo was that type of player who he had a good season, but he just lacked a little bit of quality if you're going to be Liverpool and pushing next level. Mm-hmm. And Gravenberch has come in and blokes running rings around teams. I haven't watched like abundance of games this season for Liverpool, but the ones I've watched, he's been the star from match week 1 to the United game. Like, he's dictating plays, receiving it, turning on the half turn. The way he drives that play, it's reminding me of Yaya Toure.
Yeah.
No, that is exactly what it is.
I just think he glides over the grass. He just glides, skids past challenges, strong, really, really strong.
He's a different prototype to other 6s and 8s. But he's reminding me of that old Yaya. If anyone he can compare him to, I feel like Yaya Toure is that player.
Yeah, big guy, capable on the ball.
Yeah, drives hard.
And I feel like he's benefiting off Arne Slot's less rock and roll football, as everyone's calling. Jurgen Klopp was rock and roll. Arne Slot's more of like the controlled, like on the weekend, 1-0, we'll get the win, we'll leave. No back and forth, 4-2s on the road and late winners. It's get an early goal, park it up, let's just control the game. And that plays into Gravenberch. Again, he's from Ajax, he's from Bayern Munich. Like, these are teams that boss games, control games. That's what he's come up on, and he's playing at the 6 in a system that suits his style. And I feel like that's why he's shone the best this season. So he's number one, well, not number one, but like the first player we're talking about.
One I kind of want to bite my tongue with. And it's only been a really short period.
What has he got?
Jadon Sancho.
He's done it. He's done it.
Yeah, it's only been a really short season, but it just shows with like a system that's probably more similar to what he had at Dortmund.
Yeah.
A system that really suits him. That real intricate 1-2 passing type system where he's got those other players around him that are also playing similar. You've got Rashford who does something completely different. Bruno who he's more of that selfish number 10.
Long ball.
In the same way, long ball. He's like doesn't really cover those holes. He's playing a bit deeper, which then you see with a system as well. And he's actually playing on the left, which is his preferred position. Where he's been pushed out to the right. He's really started the season well. Very, very, very short sample size. Very small sample
it's valid.
size. But he's done it.
He has improved.
Yeah, you?
I went Delap.
I've got him as well.
Okay. I did this for the reason, and this is going to sound like, I don't know, I haven't watched him. I watched a bit of what Stoke did last year, and he was okay at Stoke. And I read a bit about what the fans thought. They weren't really impressed with him. They just sort of thought he was okay. And again, I can't claim to have watched 90 minutes in week in, week out of Stoke. But when I watched the odd game and saw the highlights and read what the fans said, he wasn't sounding like the impressive player. And it was just a hopeful bit, it sounded like, from Ipswich. It was like, let's just hope he lands, hope he works. He's got the prototype. He's the big sort of player, can turn, got a bit of pace, reminds you of like Garassi and the likes from Dortmund, the big, quick strikers. But the way he started the season, and the goal on the week, we didn't mention it, that swivel and finish against West Ham.
Should have had the other goal as well. Very unlucky.
He was
great
very
save.
good. Like, he's looking like that, what you need to be in a Prem striker, which I hope Rasmus can be for United. Hold the ball up, swivel, ping it bottom corner.
Just from this first 2 months of the season, I can nearly guarantee if Ipswich go down next season, he will have another Prem move.
Yeah, 100%.
Guarantee it.
100%.
Yeah, I've got him as well. I can't sit here and claim that I've watched hundreds of minutes of Delap, but from what I've read, and very similar to you, even just looking at the stats prior to this season, I think last season he had, for Stoke, 8 goals in 31 games in the league.
I think that was a number. Yeah, it was not double.
3 goals for Hull this season before I think he only went in January, so it was only something like 15 games. To start off the season already with 4 goals.
Yeah. It's half your goal tally base.
And 8 goals last season, and in the championship, remember?
Yeah.
So, and he's been good, very good. And do I expect the form to dry up at one point in the season? 100%.
Absolutely.
But he's showing a lot of promise. On the weekend, could have had that second, and that was where I was coming with, like, Ipswich very much could have took more out of the game.
Out of the game from West Ham. No, that's valid. I think he's probably the most exciting. That's probably the reason why I read the segment, but definitely a big one. I'm going to stick on my striker trend, because that was your third player. My third player, Chris Wood, who we know he goes through forms.
Yeah.
But this for me now, it's the start of this season, a little bit the end of last season. So if we combine the two, this is not just form anymore. This is just actually him becoming a clinical, and he's still going to miss chances. I'm not going to claim like he's some clinical striker now, but where he was missing in the past, I'm seeing more. Like on the weekend versus Chelsea, we started the 1-1. It's actually a decent goal. Like the header across the goal, he gets his foot out, gets an important touch, and it finds back of the net. He could easily put that ball wide in years past. So again, it is very reactionary about sort of what this thing is, but I'm actually seeing, if I combine the first 7 games this year, the back end a little bit of last season.
He was quite good last season.
This is an extended period of form.
He had 14 goals last season. For a Chris Wood season, that's a good
ridiculous
season. And like to continue that on, so I definitely think that's valid.
I think he sits there.
Going on with the striker position.
Number 4 for
one that probably isn't like Chris Wood and had a good last season at all, and we touched on him before, Raul Jimenez.
Yeah.
Has to be in this list for me, personally.
Yeah.
We were talking about like we've said many times after making that move, back end of Wolves, he just isn't it after that head injury. Some players have those injuries, and whether it's, I don't know exactly what the ramifications were, there was just something just wasn't right. And for me, it was just more like, I don't think he can get back to it. But he's back. And we saw little tiny spurts of it last season. But he is back. All 7 games this season. And disregarding the the goal contributions, just his plays. That back heel was sublime, to say the least.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
And it's good to see him. I think it was a fear thing as well. Surely you got to be fearful.
Oh, definitely.
You don't go for headers if, you know what I mean? But I feel like now he's sort of over that. Does he wear the...
No.
I don't think he wears the patch anymore either. That's when you know, I think you've got your Raul Jimenez back. So it's a good shout. I was going to put him in.
It's a bit like the defender that comes back from an ACL injury when he stops the taping.
Yeah.
That's when you know it's
and
up.
you know that when they start diving in for challenges.
They start playing with the taping, you always know. Even like...
It'd be in your mind. Like if you see the you see the headband.
It's a lot of a mental thing.
Yeah, it's a mental game. So I think, he feels like he's back to like Wolves, Jimenez. See, I was going to have him in, but I wanted sort of one player, not 2 guys from the same team. I had Andreas Pereira because he's playing at the... Not at the 6, but like in a double pivot now.
Yeah.
He's playing deeper. I didn't think he had this in his game.
Well, he didn't because United dropped him back, remember?
Yeah.
And he was just
terrible.
terrible.
It just didn't work. I've just been... Again, great goal on the weekend against City, but it's not just that. It's been me being impressed that João Palhinha's gone, who I thought was Fulham. He was why the team had done so well. And we're seeing that it wasn't just João Palhinha. He's gone in there, taken that role on, played in double pivot, looked comfortable in the ball. His attacking output's still there because he's naturally a 10, right? So you see those little passes to the gaps. He gets every attack. Fulham gets going.
How good for him as well, the fact that he's been saying his whole career how he's not going to go. I think he could have gone and played for a couple of different other nations, and he finally got that Brazil call up.
And probably deserves it. He's been consistent. Like last season, it wasn't ridiculous, but I think we mentioned at the same time last season, he was getting some good assist numbers, getting involved. It always feels that when Fulham are firing, he's always in and around assisting or setting someone up or scoring himself. So I feel like he goes under the radar a little bit because he was the United reject, didn't really work at the 10. Now he's playing at the 8. And he's killing it. So I think he absolutely improved. In terms of an all-round archetype of player, I feel like he's improved so much more. That's my 4th player. Your 5th? Final?
Dwight McNeil.
Love it.
Dyche football at its finest. If anyone on this couch is going to back in Dyche football, it's me. I've always been a big advocate of, you know what, 3 points is 3 points. Yeah. Especially when you're down the back end, back bit of the table. Right. Doesn't really matter how you win. It's just win.
Yeah.
And football is definitely changing, and we're seeing very much less of this, especially towards the top end of the table. We're not seeing the likes of Mourinho's, those type of managers coming through anymore. But it works, and Dwight McNeil has been a very big part of Dyche football over the years, and he's playing some good football. And he had a little patch like this at the start of last season as well.
Yeah.
But probably a bit of an extended period, and it's only 7 match weeks, but I can't really think of him playing a bad game so far this season.
No, I don't think he has. He's been pretty good. Yeah. I'll continue my attacking mode. I went Harvey Barnes. I think didn't play at all. Oh, did he play a little bit last season? The injuries, problems. Never thought he'd break in because of Gordon. We all thought Gordon was a left winger. We thought he'd locked it down. But then what we've seen is he's basically come and saved this Newcastle side a lot of games. Yes, naturally his talent's there, but I didn't know if we'd see it again. And I think from last year with the lack of availability, lack of game time, when you lack like Smith Rowe, you could have maybe put him in there as well because you haven't seen him play properly for Smith Rowe 2 years, for Barnes for a year and a bit. So it was good to see him in the starting lineup now, scoring goals, setting things up, and looking back to sort of like the Barnes of the Leicester days. Definitely. So I think he's definitely bounced back very, very well. So that's my 5th and final player. All right. There we go. Sure. Last 2 games then.
Yeah.
We're getting to the real stuff. I wish we could talk a lot about United and Villa, but it was just Ten Hag came with a 4-4-2 and just...
Yeah, I want to touch on this, and it's actually got nothing to do with the game itself. So, see the lineup come out, straight away I message you, and I'm just like, what has happened here? But it was the moment in my head, and I've been a big avid Ten Hag in bloke. Yeah. Probably after the Tottenham game, it was a bit, for me...
Shaky.
Yeah, shaky. And I didn't get to touch on this because we didn't have last week.
Yeah.
And after that game, for me, it was like, I don't care anymore. I think if Ten Hag goes, great. If he doesn't go, great. I don't see the managers we're linked to ain't going to do any better than Ten Hag.
Yeah.
I think Ten Hag's now made all these signings and he's and they're his players. The new manager comes in, needs to bring in his players, blah, 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 blah. And I've talked about how there's still players and there's still players at the club who have sacked 4 or 5 managers, which are starting every week. But Ten Hag is starting them. And we saw that. And the kind of like the tipping point was Saturday or last night. Johnny Evans and Maguire starting. And Johnny Evans was sensational last night. And I said this before when the teams came out. I don't care if we win and these two are the best on the park. They are not the long term. This is Ten Hag now going, my job's on the line. I'm just going to pick who I think is going to do the best for me tomorrow. Sit back, play Ole Gunnar Solskjaer football at its finest, which isn't your football. So now you're... And I know your football kind of has been up for question either way. But now you've really gone away from what the problem is. And it's not your... Like, you've really gone away from it.
Yeah.
And... Yeah, I don't know. It's making your 2 signings who are avidly your 2 signings. So it's not 2 centre-backs at the club who are quality that have been dropped for 2 centre-backs that you rate.
Yeah.
It's your 2 signings, De Ligt and Martinez on the bench, Ugarte on the bench. And don't get me wrong, I actually think Eriksen was one of our better players last night.
Yeah.
And everything is same. But are these players that are going to be playing next season? Are these players that are going to be playing at the end of this season? And you see other managers, they bite that bullet. And I've been avid on, you play the players for today. Don't worry too much in the future. I'm that type of guy. But in the same way, these are your signings. Disregarding progressive football or not. If you want to play that football, you make signings for that football. You don't get rid of David De Gea, who was the best shot stopper and had missed a year of football and he's playing like...
God himself.
David De Gea at Fiorentina now.
He's a bloody god over there.
Yeah. You don't get rid of these players. I'm going to bring in Onana because I'm Mr. Progressive. I'm Mr. This. You know what? De Ligt and Martinez, he pushes on into midfield. Yeah, you go drop him on the weekend. And I don't know if there was some injury cloud over him.
He didn't even come on. So, yeah, might be.
Might have been. But what about De Ligt? You don't have an excuse for De Ligt. Well, because Harry Maguire scored a header against Porto. Oh, my God. We'll get on our knees right now and we'll start like hailing Harry Maguire, who has shown for 5 seasons at United now, who is inadequate at his role. And yeah, he's been better, but he still isn't a Man United signing. And you go sign Matthias De Ligt, who, probably hasn't hit the straps at Bayern and Juve, but is still a quality player and well better than Maguire. This is where I've lost it now. My whole thing on Ten Hag is like, sack the bloke if you can bring in a good manager. But I think it was just like, I don't... Like, after that starting lineup, I was just like, why? You're sacking yourself. The best way to explain it, he has sacked himself. That draw, he might not get sacked. He might get sacked still. I don't know. But he is sacking himself. Would you agree with that? Yeah. He's starting Rashford when he got hammered. He came into this season, I was like, you know what? Mazraoui comes in, De Ligt comes in. De Ligt and Martinez can line up next to each other with no lineups. He signs Ugarte. Oh my God, Ugarte makes 1 start and he doesn't play well. Okay, signs Ugarte. We got Manu, who's that fresh mind. We look at the team compared to the start of last season, a complete brand new team. Ahmed and Garnacho, both can cut in, both can hit the byline. That more Chelsea, Liverpool, City, Arsenal prototype. Højlund and Xerxes are now back. You got that double option. Goes back to Rashford. And Rashford has been better. But you know what you get from Rashford. You get nothing and something. So unless you're going to go play... Rashford is the perfect Mourinho, Ole player. But that's where it ends.
Yeah. Well, when I laughed at the team when the team came out, but I don't know why. I didn't want to jinx it. I didn't send it to the chat last night.
Yeah.
But I was going to send it to the chat. I was expecting that type of Maguire Evans performance because, to be honest, it just felt like a Maguire Evans type of game where they do something like that. And yes, it is feel like you're sacking yourself playing those type of players. But when you see the lineup and I see where they went 4-4-2 from the kickoff, I'm like, I know why. And why he's done it. And I'm going to say I'm even more delusional than what I'm not trying to back him, but I can see where he's come from because what you're seeing from De Ligt, I still think De Ligt's been better than Martinez, but when De Ligt came on with he was next to Evans, but then Lindelof came out right back, and instantly I just felt nervy. Like every time they went near it, there's some great challenges, but you felt nervy. He slipped over for the big chance. Was it Philogene or Bailey the back post? Something like Maguire and Evans were on for 45 minutes, and none of this happened. And then all of a sudden you come on and you slip, and there's a chance of back post. And I was like, what you get with Maguire and Evans is just no nonsense. They might skip past, and the other player will do something well to score, but they're not going to make a bad pass playing out from the back. So you sort of limit the chance for error. So that's where United came from yesterday with a 4-4-2, no pressing from the front line, wingers tucking in. They said, you beat us, we're not going to beat ourselves. Because what happened against Porto? We beat ourselves. What happened against Twente? We beat ourselves. Or we drew us, you know what I mean? And I think his job's on the line. He was like, shit, let me not lose this game. The only way you can't lose is if you don't concede. And as such, he went with that. And I'm not backing that, but I understand that.
Yeah.
And going to the game, again, I didn't want to jinx it. I just never sent it to chat, but I thought, this is either going to be one of those games that we get battered 5-0 or we get one of those great, either like 0-0s or 1-0 win, because with Evans and Maguire, we've seen it actually a few times in the last 12 months. They somehow work it out together. Like, I don't know, you get all the pace of a bloody truck, but they still somehow work it out. So, fantastic performance from those two guys. Fantastic from Eriksen. The guys that shouldn't really be in the starting lineup, they were fantastic. Garnacho, Rashford was okay. To your question, is he sacking himself? Yeah, because if it doesn't go wrong, he's gone. I reckon he would have gone, if he started that lineup and they'd lost. That screamed like Watford and Ollie, where you looked at the team that played that game, you thought, whoever got subbed on and off, you're like, okay, it's over, it's done.
Yeah,
it's sort of screamed that.
It's just for me that going into the season, I was like, I'm going to stay with Ten Hag.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay with Ten Hag. But it was like all this new stuff but it's just reverted back to the old.
Same old.
And like, I can't sit here and say something which then is completely like twirled around.
Yeah.
And then say that same thing.
Yeah, it's true.
I've got to be bullish now.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm still happy for Ten Hag to stay if it means that Southgate or Graham Potter's going to come in. Okay? Don't get me wrong.
Don't do me that.
100%. But like, if you can bring in a good manager, go for it, because I've lost faith in this manager. Yeah. I'm purely staying with Ten Hag right now and being on the fence purely because of the people we're being linked to.
Yeah.
Not because of Ten Hag anymore.
Yeah.
Ten Hag, me liking Ten Hag is out the window. It's just me going now. I don't want Graham Potter, and I don't definitely want Gareth Southgate.
Yeah. Yeah, if there was a style of football there, you can defend it, but there isn't any style. Nah. It changes from game to game. That's the problem. That's the problem for me, at least. Yeah. But a massive point for Manchester United, ridiculous, because we're still got the lowest points ever at the start of the season off. 7 games in, 9 points.
The 2 Ten Hag seasons.
Yeah, 2 Ten Hag
seasons. And then the Ollie season was the third worst.
Yeah, so how's that for the last sort of 5 years of our life? But if not, that would have looked 10 times worse, that game, if we lost that one. Let's finish off with this one. I guess we're not at the bottom of the barrel because Spurs managed to lose to Brighton after being up 2-0 last night. Johnson and Maddison made it 2-0 in the space of 37 minutes. Minter got a goal back just after half-time. Then Ruter made it 2-2 in the 58th minute, and then the comeback was completed in less than 20 minutes. Welbeck heading Brighton in front in the 66th minute. I tell you what, Brighton, I don't know what to do. Actually, I don't know what to do with both these teams. They concede goals, they score goals.
I don't even know what happens with them. It's just like they some days like to turn up, some days don't.
Feel like it. Like the first half, Brighton were pathetic. They were awful. High line, it felt like Chelsea again. I was like, okay, they're done. And then, so I went to bed, woke up, they win. I mean, like, what happened here? So I watched the second half, and Tottenham looked like they were all at sea. High line, getting exposed, couldn't control the ball. I tell you, Ten Hag's in problem, but Ange, in many regards, has come out all these things saying, "Oh yeah, I win things second season."
But at least Ange has continued with his system.
It's just a system, but this system's suicidal now. It's gone way too.
Like, imagine Ange came in and started like they still had him and started playing Eric Dyer.
I just think for Ange,
that's what it's the equivalent to.
Yeah, I just think for Ange, he needs to have a plan B, not a different style, just a plan B. Because my God, when you lose a 2-0 lead in 15 minutes, at least just shore up. Like, just take 15 minutes at the game, control. They conceded 3 goals in less than 20 minutes. Like, have a different route. I'm not trying to be negative and act. I love watching them play, and I think it's exciting and it's positive. But at this moment, it's just football suicide. Like, you're just trying to, like, still about trying to get yourself sacked with Ten Hag, and just trying to get himself sacked, continue to play this style. You go up against Brighton away from home, tough game. Okay, you got to go there, swallow your ego. It's a tough game these days.
Yeah.
Against Hertzler, who's basically your little brother. He plays the exact same way as you. You got to be at it. If you're not at it, once the first goal goes in, I would, okay, boys, shore up a bit, drop the midfielder in, 4 with 1 in front. Yeah. Not 3 with 2. And, like, I just think for his sake and for the sake of Tottenham, you got to have a plan B in a game. That's where I come from.
I can agree with that, but at least he continues with he's got his method.
Yeah,
he's going to go down swinging.
Yeah.
If he gets sacked, he'll go down swinging. Ten Hag is just like, I don't even know anymore. I'm like, surely you're United though, and there's someone good on the market.
No one's there. Unless you want Allegri back.
Probably wouldn't say he's the worst.
It's reverting back a long way though. You want to talk about defence and counter-attack, that's the exact same way. Well, he's going to sit, that's his system though.
Plays Xerxes and Hoyland up top.
4-4-2.
Yeah.
Bring it back to the
He's
old
played
days.
the 5. He's played the 5 before as well.
Yeah. You've don't concede.
Maguire through the middle of Martinez and Delete wouldn't be the worst. I reckon Maguire's. You know how good he is.
Maguire in a 3 is ridiculous.
He's unreal.
He's very, very
he doesn't have to worry about his pace anymore.
No. This is going to be another video. I might be a video later in the week. But the captain curse of United's a real thing. I'm generally being serious.
Yeah, I know.
Antonio Valencia was a superb player. Still was good with the captain's armband, but it wasn't great. Again, later years of his career, I get that. Ashley Young, oldie as well, but went to Villa and Everton doing a decent enough job. Maguire, horrendous. Looks okay again. Bruno, last year wasn't great, but still chance created. This year's like, what the hell's happened to you?
Yeah, apart from that free kick, which was quality. That's about it.
The captain's armband weighs very heavily. Quickly, back on the Brighton game. That's a massive win for them because I'm pretty sure they're in 6th now, 2 points behind Aston Villa, 2 points behind Chelsea. So considering they have only dropped 1 game and they've drawn some games they probably shouldn't have.
Unreal.
It's been very impressive for them.
Yep.
There you go. There's the week summarised. Tough week for our guys. Tough week for Spurs. Good week for the top 3 though. They get the job done. International break obviously coming up. So we'll do this time we'll do a combine. We'll just do 1 podcast next week. We'll sit down. I'll make up some game stuff we can do and play something like that next week. We can take a breath again and then we can reset again for another good Premier League run in for the Christmas time run in. Thanks for joining us, guys. Please like, comment, subscribe. To all you new people out there, thank you for joining us. This is TOTS, because you haven't seen him many. There's TOTS as well. Next week, as I said, probably the 4 of us. Keep an eye out for Thursday. Me and Nathan will be down to sit and talk about all things in the other top 5 leagues in Europe and the Champions League as well. A lot to discuss. Hope you have a great rest of your day. 5 stars Spotify. Like, comment, subscribe here on YouTube. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks, time, guys. See you later.